lesson for today. So today we are now opening up our new topic here, and this topic, the theme is the human body. Then we are going to look at the human body. Under the human body we are going to look at what we call the reproductive system. Then under that reproductive system we are going to start with what we call reproduction. Remember from our first time when we are looking at classification of living things, we said living things have various characteristics, as in one, we said living things reproduce, and we said why do they reproduce? They reproduce in order to increase in what? In number. So living things reproduce in order to increase in number. Therefore we are now going to look at reproduction into details. So we are going to start by understanding what reproduction is, but before going there we have to meet words like offspring. So when I say offspring, what comes into your minds? This one's going to be the young one. Then if I talk of gametes, we are also going to find that word there, gamete. So what is a gamete? This one's going to be the reproductive cell. Still, if we go back, we make a flashback. We said the origin of life is a cell. So there are the cells that start life, and which cells are these? They are going to be reproductive cells. Therefore let us come to now to the definition here. So reproduction is the process by which living organisms so this is the process by which living things or living organisms give rise. So to give rise, it means to produce. They produce, so they give rise to offsprings similar to them. So this word is very important, similar to them. It's like saying a tomato cannot produce a boy. No. So a tomato arises to give rise to a tomato, as well as a dog produces a dog. A lion produces a lion, not a fish. So that's what it means. That's why I'm saying this one is very, very important. Living organisms giving rise to offsprings are similar to them. So reproduction is the process by which living organisms give rise or produce young ones or offsprings that are similar to them. Okay, so let us look at different living organisms and their reproduction. If we start with the pigs, under pigs we have the female pig, which is called a sow. Then when it is giving rise to offsprings, when it is giving birth with producing young ones, we say it is following. So a sow farrows. Then when we go to the rabbits, and a female rabbit is called a doe, then this doe is going to kindle. So this is called kindling. So this is the act of producing kittens by a rabbit. And which rabbit is that one? A doe. Then others follow, those are pigs. Then when we go to a sheep, so the female sheep is called a female sheep is called a research. In the next lesson I need that answer. So that female sheep is going to carry out lambing. So so someone has said to save you. Okay, no, find out that one. So when we go to the cows, the female cow, the cows, those are heifers, in calf heifers. For them they carry out parturition. So parturition or calving. So calving is the act of producing calves by a cow or a heifer. Then lambing is the act of giving or producing lambs by a what? By a ewe. Okay, so this is a female sheep. Then kindling is the act of producing kittens by a doe. Then following is the act of producing or giving rise to piglets by a sow. And then we have kidding. So this kidding is done by a nanny. And what's a nanny? A nanny is a female mature goat. So kidding, parturition, lambing, kindling, following, these are the terminologies we use when we are referring to reproduction in different animals. Okay, so a reflection, we said reproduction is the process by which living organisms give rise to offspring similar to them. Alright, so from there let us look at what we call types of reproduction. So we have two types of reproduction. One, there is what we call sexual reproduction, and two, there is what we call asexual reproduction. So we are going to start with what we call sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction here, this is the type of reproduction that involves gametes. So it is a type of reproduction that involves what we call gametes. Okay, let us get here another chalkboard, and we see this one clearly. Let me hope that we are still together. You've given me your attention, so thank you for choosing Good Choice Schools. Together we can, divided we fall, in God we trust. All right, so we are looking at the types of reproduction, and we said there are two. We said there is what we call asexual reproduction, and also there is what we call asexual reproduction. So let us start with what we call sexual reproduction. So with the sexual reproduction here, this is the type of reproduction that involves what we call the gametes. Then we said, earlier on we said a gamete is a reproductive what? A reproductive cell, and there are four gametes. So we have two in animals, and we have two in plants. So in animals, we have the male gamete and also the female gamete. So the male gamete in any animal, let it be an insect, let it be a bird, let it be, so long as it's an animal, so the male gamete is called a sperm. Then female gamete is called an ovum. When there are very many, we call them the ova. So where we are going, we shall see the detailed structure of a sperm and of that of the ovum. Then when we go to plants, because even plants they have what we call sexual reproduction. So the male a male gamete in plants, that is the pollen grain. Then in the female ones, that is, all those ones are called the ovules. So ovules match with the ovum, then sperms match with the pollen grains. So this is a common question in exams: how is a sperm similar to pollen grains? So both are male gametes. So the male gamete in an animal, in a male animal, it is a sperm. So ovum for female animal, then pollen grains for plants male, and ovules for plants female. So this type of reproduction where we see these gametes getting involved is called sexual reproduction. Okay, so from them again we have these animals that are hermaphrodites. So we have animals that are said to be bisexual, so we call them hermaphrodites. So these are the animals with both sexual organs. So they have both sexual organs. So such examples, we have the snails, then we have the tapeworms. That's why they survive in our intestines, so they don't need mates, so they can multiply. So they are bisexual, or they are hermaphrodites. Then we also have what we call the earthworms. So these ones are hermaphrodites. Alright, so from there, now let us move on and see what we call asexual reproduction. So if this one involves gametes, then asexual reproduction is the type of reproduction that does not involve, so for it does not involve what we call gametes. So asexual reproduction does not involve gametes. So here with asexual reproduction, just a part of an organism results into a new offspring. So just part of an organism develops into a new individual. Okay, let us get here another chalkboard. So just a part of an organism develops into a new individual. So let us take some examples of asexual reproduction and we understand this. So the best example we are going to take what we call the binary fission. So binary fission, this means that it is dividing into two, and this one is commonly seen in our bacteria. So in the bacteria, or in a bacterium, this is a bacterium, then it has the nucleus. Then when it is to reproduce, when it is having necessary conditions, then it's now going to divide itself into two. So it is going to have this one and this, then eventually we get this young one and this one. So this is what we call binary fission. Now these are what we call the daughter cells, or the new individuals. So here we don't see any gamete getting involved, just this organism dividing itself into two to produce other new offsprings. So this is binary fission. Then apart from that one, we have what we call budding in yeast. So yeast this is yeast, then this yeast will just get other buds. This is a bud, then this bud produces another bud, then this one produces this one, then this one, then this one develops into this one. So all these ones are buds, and this is called budding. Then apart from yeast, we also have what we call the hydra. Also hydra reproduces by means of budding. Okay, so from that one, the budding, we also have what we call a vegetative propagation. There is what we call vegetative propagation. So even this one in plants, so this one is also under what we call asexual reproduction. Then vegetative propagation, we are seeing a part of a plant, getting developing into a new individual. So this vegetative propagation, we divide it into two. There is what we call natural vegetative propagation and also artificial vegetative propagation. Now when we look at natural vegetative propagation, this is by means of bulbs. This is planting the stem cuttings. Here, planting rhizomes in case of the ginger, if you remember from our classification of plants, then planting the culms, then planting the leaves of the borophyllum. We have that plant called borophyllum, so it is just propagated by means of leaves. So all these ones are natural vegetative propagation, even by means of suckers, even means of crowns. So all these ones are natural vegetative propagation. But again, what I'm going to dwell at today, it is what we call the artificial vegetative propagation. Artificial vegetative propagation. Now here it is man aiding in the propagation, in the reproduction of these plants. And now these vegetative propagation artificial methods: one, there is what we call budding; two, there is what we call grafting, as we discussed in our classification of plants. Then again, there is what we call marketing. There is marketing, and also we have what we call layering, and also stem cuttings. So stem cuttings, layering, marketing, grafting, and budding, these ones are the examples of artificial vegetative propagation. So when you go to grafting here, this one is normally seen in citrus fruits like orange and lemon. So this one can be the lemon plant, then this one can be the orange plant with the leaves. So what we do, we chop off this shoot and we remove also this shoot. So we get this shoot and put it all over. This one is the stalk. This one is the stalk for the lemon, and then this shoot from the orange here is now called the scion. Then you wrap here, then as it is growing, then it's going to grow as one combined plant. So we have gotten a new individual, but we have not used any gamete. We have just used a part of a plant to do what? To produce another offspring. That's what we call vegetative propagation or asexual reproduction. My dear learner, we've said reproduction is the process by which living organisms produce or give rise to young ones or offspring similar to them. There are two types of reproduction: sexual and asexual. Sexual involves gametes, and we've said a gamete is a reproductive cell, whereby we've said sperms are male gametes in animals, whereas ova or ovum is the female gamete in female animals. And again, we've said pollen grains, they match with the ovules in plants. Then again, we've said asexual reproduction does not involve gametes, and examples, we've said binary fission in bacteria, we have budding in yeast and hydra. Then vegetative propagation, where we have natural vegetative propagation by means of bulbs, rhizomes, culms, stem tubers, planting leaves of the borophyllum, suckers, crowns, slips, and so on. Then artificial vegetative propagation, we have the budding, the grafting, marketing, layering, and stem cutting. So these ones we discussed them earlier on in our classification of plants. So let us take the advantages of artificial vegetative propagation. One, it is quick. This one, it is quick because there is no resting periods like in seeds, like in these other methods of propagation. And number two, the young ones are similar to the mother plant or the parent. So the young ones are identical, meaning that the genetic matter or the genetic characters are maintained. And 3, the offsprings feed directly on the food made by the plant. Alright, so let us go into our assignment for today. Number 1, define the term reproduction. Define the term reproduction. Number 2, mention the 2 types of reproduction. The 2 types of reproduction. Number 3, state the difference. State the difference between sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. And then number 4 here, what does the term kindling mean? Number 5, how important is reproduction? Is reproduction at living organisms? Living organisms. Define a gamete. Define a gamete. Number 7, state 2 advantages. State 2 advantages of asexual reproduction. Number 8, mention 2 examples of bisexual organisms. Number 9, name the male gamete found in plants. Number 10, how useful is at home. Okay, so you've been a good learner. This marks the end of our lesson 14. We meet in the next lesson, carrying on human body reproductive system.